How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is time for an old school RuneScape video. So I've been talking in the old school RuneScape Discord chat, like the official old school RuneScape chat, for quite a while now in the voice chat, hanging out with people. And I'm always talking to them, you know, they know that I make RS3 content. I've had quite a few people request that I make some old school RuneScape content. I've also had that request on our channel and also in our own Discord server. So I decided to make some more old school RuneScape content. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can make a ridiculous amount of money. This is an investing method that has worked for me quite a few times and has helped me to build quite a bit of wealth in old school RuneScape. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a step-by-step, including every single angle of it, so that way you guys can do it yourselves. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So right away, as we get into this, let me just go ahead and cover a couple things. This is not a grinding method. So this is not the kind of method where you're going to log in, start grinding, make a whole bunch of money today. That's not what this is about. This is a method where by just really taking a few minutes to do some research, a few minutes to place some offers, you can net you a lot of money over the long term. Sometimes it's not even that long. Sometimes it might be just a few weeks. Sometimes it could be a couple months. It just varies. I'm going to cover all this in today's video. If you guys have any more questions about this guide, then please leave them in the comments below. I will answer them. You can also join our Discord down below. We have 9.6k members, about 10,000. We actually had more than that, but I do use the purge button, which removes people who are inactive. So we have about 9.6k active members in our Discord server right now. You can also ask questions in there, whether it's RS3 or old school RuneScape. So let me go ahead and start by saying what the items are. So it is orbs. This is a method that I've been using since as long as I can remember. I've been flipping and investing and doing things on old school RuneScape since release of 2013. Obviously, we did not have the Grand Exchange right away, but I was still doing flipping at that point, just doing the actual old school flipping of yelling at the bank and everything. It was really fun. But as soon as that Grand Exchange popped in, I did start doing like long-term invests and stuff. And I'm going to show you guys how to do a long-term invest right now that has paid out for me extremely well, and once again paid out for me really well in this situation. So how do orbs work? How do you make a lot of money with orbs? As you can see over here on the right side, I do have the flipping utilities open. Flipping utilities is a fantastic way to see what items are currently buying and selling for, and then also you can combine this with the wiki live prices, because the wiki live prices will show you graphs that will explain the price changes over a period of time, which I'm also going to show you that in order to kind of do this method better. So what I basically do in a nutshell is I buy orbs for a low price when they are low, and then I sell them for a high price when they are high. That is probably going to be pretty obvious to you. As you can see right here, these water orbs, I did sell them for $13.49 each. You can see that right now the Grand Exchange mid is at $11.25, and you look over here on the flipping utilities, it also shows they're about $11.25. As you can see, I did buy some right here at $12.53. My recent sell price was $13.49. I also bought quite a few of these water orbs at below 1100, but I did buy them at a lot of different prices, so that's why this shows my last buy price. If we look over here at the air orbs, once again, I did sell them at $15.66. You can see that they are quite a bit less than that right now. The reason why the prices I got for them is much higher than what they're currently going for is actually, I'm actually really happy it shows that, because it's actually going to show you how this method actually works, this investment method. So right here we can see that I did sell $15.66. It's very important to know that I did sell several 100,000 air orbs at prices above this. The $15.66 was actually the lowest price I ended up selling any of them at. I was selling them at $16.60, $16.70. So this is actually the least amount of money I was able to sell my air orbs for. And when I was buying these air orbs originally, I bought them at all types of prices. I bought them at $1,200. I bought some at $11.50, $11.60. I even bought them up to almost $13.50, as you can see right here, my last buy price when they started to rise again. And then I just started selling them all off. Altogether, I had probably between 3 and 4 million air orbs on all my accounts. I do flip and invest on multiple accounts, so this is just one account's items. If you do have multiple accounts, it's definitely a really good idea to do that, to be able to use multiple buy limits and get more items at once, and then also, yeah, just a little bit easier to manage your money that way. As you can see with the fire orbs, let me show you this just last example of some pricing. I did sell these at $15.39. This was also a price lower than what I was selling some of them at. I did not sell off all of these before they did drop down, and as you can see right now, they're like $11.52. So that is really important too. Just, you know, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself with this, but if you are going to do the orb investment, I would only recommend buying the amount that you know you'll be able to sell off. I did probably buy a little bit too much fire orbs. We've got about 20,000 left on this account or so. I think about like 20,000. Oh, actually probably less than that, like maybe like 15,000 left. On my other accounts, I think in total I probably have like an extra 100,000 fire orbs that never sold. Everything else, all the rest of my orbs, the water orbs, the air orbs, sold. Before I jump into the method 2, I just want to be very clear about what I did. I did buy about 3 to 4 million air orbs this time around, and then when it comes to water, earth, and fire, I bought somewhere between 1 and 1.5 million of each. So if you look at that, the amount of profit I made was pretty amazing. If we're not counting the taxes, since I did sell most of my air orbs at an average about $16.50, and I bought most of them at about $1,200, that does make it about 450 gold profit each, minus a little bit for the taxes. But as you can see, 450 gold profit each when you buy 4 million of them is a lot of money. On the air orbs alone, we definitely cleared, like, I don't know, it was probably like close to a max stack on those, so that's pretty awesome. On the rest of these, I also made an incredible amount of money as well. But anyway, so you get the idea. I made a lot of money on these. How can you do this? So I'm going to show you that right now. So with this money-making method of, well, it's more of an investing method. The more money you have, the more money you're going to make. If you are going to try to do this method yourself, you just need to be very realistic about how much money that you are able to spend. That way you can be realistic about how much money you can expect to earn. All you need to do really is to buy the orbs when they are low and then sell them when they are high. And I will show you how you can tell when they're high, how you can tell when they're low, and also when they're going to be low and when they're going to be high, because obviously it's not just like some magical thing where it's like, oh, you know what, I think they're going to go up tomorrow, and then they skyrocket. So as you can see right here, these prices right here on the flipping utilities tells you that right now they are pretty low. This is a pretty low price for pretty much all these. They will go like slightly less than this, maybe like another like 10 or 20% below this price, probably about 10% below this price, and then you'll be able to buy them back up again. So that's why I really haven't started restocking them myself yet. I'm going to be restocking these again very soon. And the reason why this happens is because when players start playing RS3 more than they're playing old school RuneScape. So let's say, for example, double XP weekend is happening. So what I did actually for this investment right here was when double XP weekend was like being announced, people were getting excited about going to do double XP weekend. I bought up tons of orbs, and that is because they went to a very low price. And then right after that, when people start to hop back over to old school RuneScape, the orbs go up in price. And that is just simply because there are more players coming back over to old school RuneScape, and orbs are a very viable use of, like, for getting crafting XP. They are probably the best crafting XP in the game. There are ways of making a little bit faster crafting XP, such as dragon hides, but those do cost a considerable more amount of money. And if you're going to tan your own hides with like the tan spell, that is a little bit more efficient, I guess, if you need magic XP, but it's still going to take you more time and everything. So overall, air battle stabs do end up being probably the best as far as like GP to XP, because if you buy and sell the items at the right times and right prices, then you're basically break even, or maybe you'll lose like 1 GP per XP for the XP, and the XP is over 300k per hour, so it's very, very good for crafting. So as soon as people come back over to old school RuneScape and they want to train their crafting or any other skills, then those prices will go up. There's something else that should be known too, and that is that every single time that the orbs themselves are going up, then the battle stabs themselves are going down, and then every time the battle stabs are going down, the orbs are going up. So you can also kind of buy into battle stabs and invest into battle stabs as a way to like kind of hedge your money that way. Usually that's what I will do when I'm selling off all my orbs. I'll be buying up a bunch of battle stabs, and then vice versa. When the orbs are at a low point, then I'll be selling off all my battle stabs. So you can kind of make money on both ways. The battle stabs themselves tend to just be about the same all the time. You can slow sell them for quite a bit more than what the flipping utility says. So if you want to make your own battle staves, and kind of like I was just saying, if you sell them at the right points and stuff like that, you can sell them for like close to 9.2k. Sometimes you can sell them for more than 9.2k, which if you craft it on your own with the right prices, then you'll make all your money back, or might just have like a very small loss. Let's hop over to the graph so I can show you like a more visible picture of what it looks like as far as when to buy and sell these items. Okay, so like I said, I am going to show you guys a step-by-step, so I'm actually going to start right here on the RuneScape wiki page. All we have to do is type in, let's say, an air orb, and then that will bring up the price, or sorry, the page for the air orb. Once you're on the air orb page, just go over to the graph. You can look at this chart right here if you want to. This chart will show you like a general idea. As you can see right here, they're really high. This is when I sold my last ones. They went really low. This is when I was buying them up. They went really high again. That's why I just sold them, as you just saw. And now they're dropping down again. So they just kind of repeat themselves. It's pretty awesome. So you can see the general trend right here, which is pretty great. You don't have to go more deep than that, but as you can see, it just continually does the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You should be aware though that sometimes you might have to wait a very long time to get your money back at times. Like right here, there was a pretty big gap before they jump back up again. But even this gap right here was like December 22 until February 23. That's not really that long. So you know, even the longer wait times are really not that long. So you just need to be patient. Don't sell them at the wrong time. Don't buy them at the wrong time. Remember how I said that the air orbs, I did sell them like on average probably like 1650 for most of them. As you can see right here, they were hitting like 1656 and everything. So that's kind of the points I was looking at. When you are going to sell off your orbs, if you're doing this strategy, I would definitely recommend aiming for the higher points unless they just aren't selling anymore. And that is the reason why I eventually went down to like 1566 and stuff, is because they just weren't selling anymore. They were doing that dive down. You can kind of tell when they're doing the dive down, by the way, because all of the orbs will start going down quite a bit. And when you see that happening, it's time to just sell off your stock. But if only one of the orbs is kind of going up and down, then just be patient and sell them off when you can. You can see also too that sometimes air orbs will go to some ridiculously crazy high price of like this right here. The graph shows they were like 2,000 each in the Grand Exchange. I really wouldn't bank on them doing this every time. I think the 1600 mark is, it's like 16 to 1700 mark is a much more realistic point. As you can see, it hit that many more times. But in order to get a much more accurate look at this, and honestly what you should use is if you click on the view real-time prices. So this right here will open up the OSRS live prices, and then you can go on here and you can also look at 1 year, and then you can see what they were actually trading at. So there's a big difference between the price they're actually trading at and then what the Grand Exchange shows. The Grand Exchange is showing you like a much more slower to update price, so it's not actually going to be completely accurate, but you can look on here and you can see what the prices were actually hitting. You can even zoom in right here by like just doing the little highlight here, and then it'll pop up this. So this right here will show you what prices they were actually selling for. So as you see, that orange line is going to be the high price, which is basically where you want to be aiming at. Right here, the high price being like 1661, which is probably when I was selling them for that much. And stuff like that. And then also too, you can even zoom in further and everything look like a lot further in. Just double click the graph to go back out. If I want to see a much more precise graph, I could look at the 7 days. If I was planning on investing today, I would look at 1 day. And then as you can see, when you zoom in as far down as 1 day, that it'll show you a very, very accurate pricing as to what they're actually literally trading at. This is also basically what the prices come from for RuneLite. So the RuneLite prices are going to just sync up with this. This will right here will actually update quicker than RuneLite will. So if you want to see like the prices a little bit quicker, you can look here. But basically, if you look at this graph, then you'll be able to sync these up to the events happening in the game. So events happening in Old School RuneScape as well as events happening in RS3 will affect the prices of items, because there are a lot of players that will play both games. Some of them will play both games at the same time. Some of them will hop from game to game. Some of them will just like go back over to RS3 whenever there's a really big update. Like for example, right now Necromancy is coming out, so that would be a really good reason why the prices of orbs are diving down again, because they popped up right here. Everybody was excited to come play Old School RuneScape, and then Necromancy is bringing the prices down again. So you know, that is a pretty good reason why they would be falling down. So if you see that RS3 is coming out with a really big update, then you can be like, okay, this is going to be a really great time to go buy into air orbs, because that means that most likely they are going to dip in price. Something you have to remember, and the main reason for this happening is because Not a lot of players have enough money on their accounts in order to play both games and have both games fully stocked with supplies and stuff, so, or gear. So when it comes to like a double XP on your RS3 account, a lot of people will actually sell off their stuff in Old School RuneScape, and then they will hop over to RS3 and they will swap that money over, so that way they can use the money in RS3 for double XP, and then when they're done, they'll swap the money back over to Old School RuneScape. It just kind of goes back and forth. But you can actually look at the graphs and you can actually see how it syncs up to this. The only thing I would be very careful about, though, is I would just be really careful to know that... sorry about that. This is the thing about doing this without editing. I would be very careful with the fact that if you see a substantial update is coming out on either Old School or on RS3, and you're like, oh, this is really going to make the prices rise and everything, just understand that sometimes the update is not that significant and is not going to bring over that many players. Like if it's a smaller update, like for example, the beach update in RS3, not really that exciting, not really something that's going to bring a whole bunch of players over to RS3. So it's not something I would really think would sink the Old School RuneScape market very much. Something else you have to look out for too is if a new monster comes out in Old School RuneScape that will drop the air orbs or drop a different type of orb, that can also affect these things. So there's a lot of things to look at, just like with any type of investing. But the important thing to know here is that if we look at this entire 1 year graph like I am right now, they pretty much follow a pretty solid floor. They don't really go any lower than like 1130, like 1150-ish on the air orbs. They don't really tend to go too much higher than like almost 1700, although for like this one time here. So the total range is basically about 1150 GP to 1700 GP. So if you see the item go either like close to either one of those points, then you know it is a time to either buy or sell your orbs. I'll go a little bit deeper into this method for anybody who really wants to know more about this, but I have given you the general idea of how to do it. So if this method was helpful for you, please make sure you smash that subscribe. I am going to be making Old School RuneScape content. If you guys have requests for Old School RuneScape content, you can definitely leave in the comments down below. Also, in our Discord server, we are going to have Old School RuneScape flipping. So if you guys would like to make up to 3 billion or more per month in Old School RuneScape by flipping with prices right available for you, smack that easy button and join our Patreon down below as well. That will be coming out very soon. You can ask about it in the RuneScape Discord. So another thing I want to point out about this too is whenever you are investing, it is a good idea to have an out. And what I'm talking about is, let's say your investment, especially as a new investor, if you're watching this video and it's like, oh man, I've never done investing before, but it actually looks pretty cool. It actually looks pretty cool to make like a few hundred million or a couple billion without really playing the game. Then something I would really recommend as a first-time investor or an experienced one is to have an out. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you were to buy a bunch of water orbs, for example, and you bought them at a price that you thought was going to be really good, but then it ends up that, hey, maybe that wasn't the best price. Like right here with my last buy price being like 1253. That is not a terrible buy price, and it obviously would have been profitable if I sold them here, which I did, and I sold some of these higher. But let's say you buy them at 1253 and then they do drop down to like 1125 or 1100. Then you could be sitting on them for quite a while, and you're also seeing them at a not really ideal price. So a good way to know, hey, how can I protect myself, is to also buy the battle stabs. Now, if you bought a lot of water orbs, this may not work out that well, but that is also something to consider. Don't buy more than you can handle. If I was to buy a whole bunch of these battle stabs, for example, and let's say I actually paid this price, I paid the 78.93, so basically 7,900. If I take 7,900 and I add on our other number, so we add on our 1250, so we'd be looking at 9150. That is how much you are into your battle staff and water orb. Now, so here's the thing about this situation. 9150 is not really that terrible. All you would need to do is to simply sell your water battle stabs by you crafting them for at least an amount that would make it so that you either profit or not really profit, probably on that prices, but that you don't lose much money or no money at all. So 9150 is not really that hard to cover. making a water battle staff actually gives you more than 100 in crafting XP. So worst case scenario, I mean, you lose like a little bit of money and you get a whole lot of crafting XP. So that is kind of the great thing about the orbs as well, is if you do buy them at a weird price, I mean, chances are you're going to end up paying what, like 1 or 2, maybe 3 GP per XP, which is still considerably cheaper than pretty much every other good crafting method out there, which means that worst case scenario, you're just getting a whole bunch of crafting XP. So if you are a brand new investor and you're looking at doing this, I'd recommend just maybe not buying too many of the orbs that you wouldn't want to personally use yourself. When I looked at my air orbs, like obviously buying 3 or 4 million air orbs, I'm not going to craft that many on my own, but if you were to buy like maybe 50,000 of them or 80,000 of them, then you could definitely craft that many battle staves and get a whole bunch of XP without it being, you know, too ridiculous. And maybe you'll lose 1 or 2 GP per XP, at most 3 GP per XP, which is definitely going to be worth it to get some crafting XP, which makes this a pretty excellent investment. Alright guys, that was the last thing I want to say on here. If you guys have any questions, like I said before, just go ahead and leave it in the comments down below and I will fire back an answer to you. I really hope this helped you out. I just want to make some new guides on Old School RuneScape to get you guys going on that path to being a multi-billionaire. Come join the club, it's pretty fun, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.